Hello, and welcome to the 10th episode of Capital Markets Live. I am Melvin Lam, Managing Director for International Markets at Ginnie. And today I'm joined by Li Chen, Chief Executive Officer of Recursion, and Richard Koss, Chief Research Officer of Recursion. Li received her PhD degree from the University of Illinois and founded Recursion in 2015. Recursion is a cloud-based mortgage big data company. Li has a very decorated career on Wall Street, building mortgage analytical platforms for hedge funds such as Citadel and John Paulson. Richard received his PhD degree from University of Pennsylvania and has a long career in mortgage finance and now leads the research effort at Recursion. He also teaches a class in housing policy at Columbia University. Welcome, Li and Richard, and thank you for coming during the Thanksgiving week.
Thank you for inviting us. Richard and I are very happy to be here.
Thank you, Alvin.
Recursion is well known for its data and ability to support policy assessment. So let's start with the policy issues such as first-time home buyers and affordable housing. Li, from your recent data, what information can you share with us?
Sure. Ginnie has always been supportive to first-time home buyers. As you can see from the charts here, Ginnie Mae's FHA and VA programs have much higher shares of first-time home buyers among purchase borrowers than the conventional loans securitized in the GSE programs. Our data also shows Ginnie Mae's FHA program originates 30% of all first-time home buyer loans delivered to the agency pools. In low to moderate income LMI area, its share is 40%. This is solid evidence that Ginnie Mae expands home ownership in the United States through its guarantee program.
Thank you, Li. Very helpful data and graphics. Ginnie Mae is committed to support home ownership, especially for the first-time home buyers, low moderate income families. Let's discuss this further. Richard, from your research, how does the Ginnie Mae program support the Federal Housing Administration and Veteran Affairs loan market during the challenges of the pandemic?
Well, Alvin, I think it's a combination of market confidence and the full faith and credit guarantee that Ginnie Mae brings to investors, as well along with an infusion of stimulus to many borrowers that occurred through the CARES Act. The following chart shows the weighted average loan to value, or LTV, for all loans delivered into the FHA and VA programs in 2020, as well as those from low and moderate income areas. As you can see, the average LTV decreased in the second half of 2020, despite the increasing trend in home prices. The pandemic has served to enhance the value of homeownership to many families, and there is no reason to expect that to reverse anytime soon as long as borrowing costs remain subdued. I don't have a crystal ball, but the financial system is in much better shape than was the case 15 years ago, so any correction should be subdued.
Thank you, Richard, for sharing that views. So this chart seems to show that low-income households have been able to weather the pandemic well from the housing market perspective. However, we see the rising home prices and the trends of cash-out refinance. Do you think low-income households are equally benefiting from the rising trend in housing price index?
As we know, Ginnie Mae loans account for about 30% of the agency universe. However, close to 90% of the cash-out loans were delivered to the GSEs since the pandemic struck. Before the pandemic, it was 80%. And even within Ginnie Mae programs themselves, for FHA and VA, when we plotted the distribution of cash-out refi over time, we found compared to all areas, a higher percentage of cash-out refis were taken out before the pandemic in low and moderate income areas. The same thing is for VA. This is definitely a red flag indicating that LMI areas have been left behind in terms of benefiting from the rapid home price appreciation. This is a matter for policymakers in the coming year.
Thank you, Li, for pointing out that. Let's also talk about the bank and non-bank issuers. Bank and non-bank issuers behave differently in many aspects. The pandemic left many mortgage loans behind on payments. How are banks and non-banks dealing with these loans? Most of the remaining buyout eligible loans are from non-banks. Lee, how do you see them carrying out their buyouts?
That's a great question. What we have been seeing is that banks led a wave of early buyouts right after the pandemic because they had direct access to the capital needed for these transactions. It took the non-banks a few months to secure the funding for them to do the same. The chart here shows the involuntary prepay speeds, CDR, broken down by banks, non-banks, for FHA and VA programs. As you can see, there were big spikes in June and July of 2020 for banks. Starting in October 2020, non-banks started to repurchase delinquent FHA loans, and the CDR has been between 7 and 12. This seems to be a pace they can handle, and with the recent extension of forbearance timelines, I hope this can be maintained through the first half of 2022 without any serious hiccups.
Indeed. Thank you, Lee. My last question is for Richard. How do you see the level of buyouts and reperforming loans being placed into CR pools and the impact of the COVID-19 recovery modification and COVID-19 refund modification programs helping borrowers?
Recovery mods should be big, as borrowers can take a sizable discount on their monthly payments at no cost. Some households seem to not be doing that, instead taking a partial claim, in which case the loan goes to an RG pool. Borrowers are becoming increasingly confident in their own finances, which demonstrates the importance of the Ginnie Mae program in supporting the broad economic recovery next year.
Thank you. Well, it looks like that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for your time and sharing insights on Ginnie Mae MBS market.
Thank you very much, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for having us.
That was Lee Chen and Richard Koss from Recursion. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe to future episodes of Capital Markets Live on YouTube. If you have any comments or questions about today's episode or other topics, please send us an email at OCM, Global Investor Inquiries @hub.gov. Again, the email is OCM, Global Investor Inquiries @hud.gov. Again, thanks for listening, and until next time, stay healthy.